It's pretty hard to pick a favorite film from Miyazaki's long lineup of masterpieces, and that's because, well, it's Miyazaki. His movies aren't just something that has inspired anime for generations, but pop culture in general. Films like Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Tales of Earth... Sorry, I meant Hayao Miyazaki, not Goro. Oh, better luck next time, son. The man has a list of some of the most influential animated movies to ever have come out, and I think what it really comes down to is his authenticity, to not conform to the standards of the industry. Everything mystical and enchanting is more grounded and subtle, and the environments are a concoction of mystery and familiarity. He both captures what it truly means to be a kid and an adult, with the added bonus of mixing the two worlds together, showing that one cannot exist without the other. This is why many in the industry refer to him as the Walt Disney of our time, at least if we look at it from a certain point of view. This year is marking 30 years of a movie of his, that for me as a kid was personally a favorite to watch while I was growing up. Now, it's not the one with the cute teddy bear creature sitting in the rain, or the misadventures in a bathhouse full of monsters. No. All it is a little witch and her delivery service. Kiki's Delivery Service is quite unlike any coming-of-age tale I've seen up to that point. Actually, I'm quite shocked this is my favorite from Miyazaki. Being a young kid who was so into action shows and over-the-top spectacle cartoons, why was this the one that stood out? It's just a girl delivering breads and cakes to people, and you might say, come on, there is more to it, right? Not exactly. And somehow, that's all you really need. Because the focus is more about our protagonist, and the struggle she faces when living on her own for the first time. The animation is also spectacular and eye-popping like any Ghibli work, and it's such an engaging narrative. But you might say, why does this stick out the most for me? Well, that is what I'm going to discuss today, and why Kiki might be one of my favorite characters of all time. A film 30 years old and targeted for children that will stick with you when you're 30 years old and beyond. The balance of passion and security. Kiki's timeless dilemma. Now, the plot for Kiki's Delivery Service, like I said, is pretty easy to follow. A little witch named Kiki has turned 13 years old, and because of her family tradition, she must move far away for a year in order to master her trade of witchcraft. Alongside her black cat named Gigi, she makes her home in a city, where with the help of a friendly bakery, she establishes a delivery service. And stuff happens. No subplots and just a few side characters, and that's about it. And that's all the necessary ingredients to make this simple tale work its magic on you. Its biggest achievement is sucking you into this uncommon environment where witches are just accepted instead of persecuted, and the landscape takes heavy real-life inspirations from Stockholm or Visby. But we have to look past all the imagination and attention to detail for a time, and really explore our main heroine's importance to the film, and how she really makes this a hallmark feature. Kiki herself is a hard-working teenager who is excited and bright-eyed to leave home and begin her training as a witch. Hell, against her family's wishes, she goes off a day early with little time to prepare. Thanks to that bit of character introductions, we do know she's a bit impatient and doesn't seem to want to stay in one spot for very long. She is very energetic in her work habits, in that she is for most of the runtime never not doing something. This could be brushing her hair, making a broom, going grocery shopping, and of course, flying. And since flying is a trait that she really does well at, naturally leads her to deliver packages and gifts to the citizens all across town. But that can also mean she pushes herself too much in her efforts, making her vulnerable to situations she hasn't prepared for, especially when it's making new friends. Her friends back home are very different from the kids in the city because she has grown accustomed to that rural sense of hospitality, where they could be right across the street from you. In a city where it's already too big and crowded for a witch in training, she feels lost in it. And when people start to crowd her or are adamant to pump information out of her, she just stands off to them. It's only over the course of time and with the help of a quirky inventor named Tombo that she slowly becomes connected. As a character, she is very well defined and is also a delight to follow. Now, it would have been such an easy out to make her a one-dimensional Mary Sue with little to no problems, But instead, like any great Miyazaki heroine, she is headstrong and brave, never letting anything stop her, and always finding a solution to a problem. A good way of showing this is through her actions and animation, and by God, does it look great. Undoubtedly, this film looks amazing enough for 1989, and it's probably one of the few animated movies to really capture flying in 2 dimensions. But it's also something else in its subtleties. Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli have always followed the idea of certain realism, grounding the drawing to its world while also sucking the viewer in. This is frequently used in many of their works, and Kiki is probably home to some of their finest. Like, here's a scene from when Kiki is trying to get to her apartment while trying not to get the attention of a baker. Let's go back to that scene. A minimal storyboard job would have been a mad dash up the stairs, but instead the animators take real time and attention to make it play with Kiki's personality. She is nervous of this baker turning around and noticing her. She is afraid of approaching, and in her run back to her room, she stumbles midway but recovers in order to make it to the top. The scene works because it makes the drawings feel like they're a part of the environment. That brief stumble happens to a lot of us when we're trying to run up while not being caught. It's the equivalent of stealing cookies from the cookie jar and rushing to your room, and that familiarity is essential to the audience engagement. Now, short moments like that are good enough on their own, but it's also when she's in action the animation truly connects with her character. Cooking breads and cakes while her sleeves are clipped with a laundry pin, or whenever she is flying, or in this clip, falling.
Here we go!
This moment fascinates me because it once again highlights the sense of childlike innocence and fun when she is doing flight. The mannerism in her action, the weight of her falling, the sense of momentum. It plays to the strength of both her character and the movie she stars in. Flying is a major highlight in Miyazaki's filmography, but this is the first time I can think of that aligns the art of flight into a character's charm. Whether Kiki is happy or sad, the animation reflects what she's feeling, and is something I don't often see enough in anime films today. True that this is a much older property and anime movies have surpassed it when it comes to design and structure, but they lack what is essentially that next level of realism to make them more than just a 90-minute film. For the sake of not going gaga over Ghibli animation, Lord knows there are YouTube channels that already do that for a living, let's take a minute and explore Kiki's companion on her journey to come of age. Gigi is a very interesting addition to Kiki's character, and no, it's not because he is voiced by Captain Carl himself in the English version. It's mainly to do with his role in the story. Aside from being a talking black cat that only Kiki can understand, Gigi doesn't have any particular role outside of maybe 1 or 2 events. He is an entity for Kiki to talk to while she is going through life, something to lean on in times when she feels alone. For Kiki, Gigi is tied to her childhood innocence, in that it has a mind of its own and can openly express its feelings. Kind of like an imaginary friend, but that everyone can see. When compared to other cats though, Gigi is bizarrely enough an enigma. Kiki and Gigi meets up with another witch in training who is very level-headed and mature, comparatively when she flies gracefully on her broom, opposed to Kiki stumbling and bouncing around in the sky. This witch's cat doesn't seem to communicate at all. It just stands there, unlike Kiki's cat who is much more expressive and honestly has a better personality. We already know that cats in this world can only talk to their owners, which when saying that must be every crazy cat lady's dream come true. It's more the mannerism that the two have. One acts like a being with distinct human emotions, while the other is just a cat. This represents the two witches' different psyches. The one with more experience seems to keep a good head on her shoulders and has since abandoned those childhood delusions, while Kiki is constantly stuck being both a kid and trying to be an adult. And that hits home very close when the third act comes and Kiki loses her powers. She not only loses her ability to fly, but also in how she communicates with her feline companion, who acts much more like a regular old cat now. A local friend of hers compares her problem to having writer's block, in which Kiki is stuck trying to find her passion again in her craft. Now, how did this happen? Well, if we look at the movie up to that point, Kiki has faced numerous real-life obstacles in her path to becoming independent. Some of the customers she delivers to aren't satisfied with their deliveries, she gets sick and misses a day with Tombo, and most importantly, she denies a good time with friends and puts her work first. It's important to layer this stuff out because the sequence of events figuratively sucks the magic of flight out of her. Something she enjoyed doing for fun was suddenly becoming a chore. Her passion became a bore, and the more she worked at it, the less special it became to her. Actually, it's almost fascinating to see a giant mechanical airship take flight while she is essentially grounded from doing so. In her attempt to grow up and become self-sufficient, she lost that drive of innocence and wonder. Sounds personal, doesn't it? Because step aside from this cute animated flick and ask yourself, what would happen if you put yourself in Kiki's shoes? A person who started a business due to a unique talent she or he possessed, but that suddenly drained the passion out of that person. Need the answer? Because the answer is most likely you. Kiki is what many consider a character that represents young creative adults entering the real world. What started out for them was a trait entirely unique and groundbreaking in their home sector, but when they made the decision to make it their profession, it suddenly caved in on them, because the responsibilities and hardships of reality were getting in the way of their zeal. This is reflective of people who sell art for a living or who bake for a living, where their wonderful idea and talent is squandered and flattened, leaving them stressed or lost in finding that drive to improve. It's the balancing act of life that is keeping people like Kiki down. And while I've so far described how many young entrepreneurs can easily relate to this movie's core themes, let's not overlook people like Kiki who are the same age as her and neglect the fact that you need to still be a kid at heart. We all gotta grow up sometime, but if you don't enjoy the fun and madness of the world around you, you will miss out on something so vital to your life. Take Kiki's friend Ursula, a talented artist living on the outskirts of town who helps Kiki out on numerous occasions, especially when she loses her powers. She talks about how she has been in Kiki's situation before, and how it affected her draftsmanship, and that sometimes what people need is a little bit of self-reflection and a moment of clarity to get back on their feet. Let that pen make the art, and let the artist draw the paper. And when that magic comes back to Kiki, it's when a friend is in danger, propelling Kiki to value that talent she has even greater than she did before. She opens up to new friends and customers, and balances her social life and her work life. She attains harmony with her hardworking figure and childlike passion, and at the end of the movie, she grows up. That means she doesn't have to rely on her familiar spirit Gigi to comfort her anymore, and she can live life as a proper person, or in this case, a proper witch. Kiki's struggle and resolution to it is what makes this movie very special to me and to so many others years later. Another Ghibli film that tried to do the exact same method of non-linear storytelling was the iconic My Neighbor Totoro. But while I don't have anything harsh towards something so innocent and whimsical, it doesn't exactly challenge the viewer to new circumstances. Kiki's dilemma does, and it's a part of life that everyone will go through. Whether you're a teenager, a college student, or a small business owner, there is something more to this film other than just a cute little girl with a bow in her head. Actually, making this video to celebrate this movie's achievement is something that has somewhat helped me with my creative roadblock. Because I have my own small video business that I love to work on and make a living off of. But at some points, it can be stressful, and the results of that blood, sweat, and tears seems to bear no fruit. It was even hard for me to make videos for this YouTube channel in particular, because I just felt like I wasn't offering anything new or that my intentions were misguided. Kiki's Delivery Service taught me something and inspired me to keep moving past that and keep doing what I love doing, making things that will touch viewers' hearts. To leave off, I think this exchange from the film put it best.
Without even thinking about it, I used to be able to fly. Now I'm trying to look inside myself to find out how I did it. But I just can't figure it out.
You know, could be you're working at it too hard. Maybe you should just take a break.
Yeah, but still, if I can't fly...
Then stop trying. Take long walks, look at the scenery, doze off at noon. Don't even think about flying. And then, pretty soon, you'll be flying again.
I really want to thank you guys for watching this video to the end. I won't be getting into the groove of things for a bit until summer is over, so stay tuned and make sure to follow me on Twitter to see updates or my thoughts on recent events. Comment down below on what inspires you and makes you love what you do. And also subscribe if you like what you see, because I do put a lot of work into making stuff for you guys. it's your bra man sitting back and taking in that summer breeze.